Today, we have the lovely Lisa Chaplin with us. Lisa, start us off. Tell us, when were you diagnosed with diabetes?
I was diagnosed in 2007. It was July of 2007. I was 26 years old and I was 5 weeks pregnant with my first child.
Okay. And what did they tell you when you were diagnosed?
Well, because I was pregnant, they were very concerned with my blood sugars. So that day, the gynecologist actually gave me more of a, you should do low carb. It was later when I actually went to the endocrinologist after I had my child that they suggested that I could probably eat whatever I wanted. I mean, 50, 60 carbs per meal and then bolus insulin and I would be fine.
Okay. And they basically told you 60 carbs per meal, just eat whatever you want as long as you take insulin for it.
Yes, exactly. And I should be able to live my life and I shouldn't have to change myself too much to live with diabetes.
All right. And did you follow that?
I did. I did.
How's that going for you?
Well, it was not going well for me. My A1C, it was really great when I was pregnant. And I did low carb when I was pregnant. And once I had both my children,
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of I just did what she said. I did what they said, and I went to eating as many carbs, not as many carbs, but at least 60 a meal, and not really worried about it. And bolus insulin, and my A1C slowly rose up to 8 was the highest I had. So not horrible, but I sure didn't feel great.
What were you feeling great about exactly?
I was always tired. I mean, with having kids, I mean, you need a lot of energy, and I had none whatsoever. I was tired. Um, I also would experience debilitating lows all the time because I would give so much insulin to cover what I was eating, and then hours later, I would be very, very low.
All right. And how long did you say you had diabetes again?
I've had diabetes for almost 12 years.
Okay. Did you suffer any complications before you found out about low carb?
Not that I'm aware of. My eyes are fine, and not that I know of.
You mentioned you were pregnant at the time, right?
I was. Mm-hmm.
All right. Did everything go well there?
So when I found out I was pregnant, I was 5 weeks. So I caught it pretty early, but my daughter was born with a lipomyelomeningocele, which was a fatty tumor on her spinal cord that we had to have removed by a pediatric neurologist once she was 5 months old. So that you can definitely have problems if you're type 1 diabetic and you do not control your blood sugars well.
Okay. And were you controlling them well during your pregnancy?
I did once I was diagnosed, but when I was diagnosed, I was 5 weeks pregnant and my A1C was 10.5.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry
So
to hear
yeah,
that.
yeah, I had no idea I was a type 1 diabetic. It all happened like I found out I was pregnant one week and then literally a week later I found out I was type 1 diabetic. Like all of it just hit me, like the thirst, the hunger, the all the signs and symptoms.
Okay. And what was it like discovering your type 1 diabetes and actually having to raise a kid while having to deal with that?
It has its ups and downs for sure. Like because I want to live a long life for them. I want to be there. I want to have the energy I need to help raise them, and it takes a toll on you. So me changing some things that I was doing has helped.
Okay, that's great. And by changes, do you mean going low carb?
Yes, exactly.
When did you discover the low carb approach?
It's been almost 2 years ago. My husband has a huge history with heart disease in his family. So we saw a cardiologist. It's really funny because it was for him. And the cardiologist said that the best thing he could do would be to go low carb and suggested a book that was The Big Fat Surprise by Nina, I can't even pronounce her last name.
Cycles?
Schultz, that's
Yeah.
it. And so I started reading it and I'm like, well, if he's doing this, I should probably try to change some things about myself too. And it probably would be good for me, but can I do that low carb? Like, is it okay for me? So I literally started Googling like type 1 diabetes, low carb, and keto, and all that stuff. And I found Dr. Bernstein, and I saw Artie Dykman's Diet Doctor video, and that's how I discovered everything, and it just went from there.
Fantastic. Lucky for you having a cardiologist telling you about low carb.
It's very rare, but he did.
Hey, hopefully, crossing our fingers, we can have more cases like that happening soon. So when you discovered low carb, what was it like when you started out?
It was an adjustment because like I had to kind of, change some insulin. I was on a lot more insulin. So I had to scale back like my basal and just change some things. And of course, get rid of a whole lot of stuff in our house that we were eating before.
So you found it easier to switch if you actually just got rid of all the carby food from your house.
Yeah. I mean, there are some things that I still let my kids have, that I don't eat, but not nearly the things that we used to eat for sure.
Fantastic. And you mentioned your kids. Are they eating low carb too, or are they just eating normal?
They eat a lot more low carb now than they did, for sure. I don't let them have nearly the things that they used to have. But I don't limit their carbs like I do for myself right now.
Okay. Was it easy to get them to transition to a low carb diet, or did they even notice?
They're 11 and 7, so they definitely noticed. They're supportive because they want me to be healthy. So, I think they're happy about it. I think they're happy because my oldest daughter, especially, she saw a lot of really bad low blood sugars. And I think she's willing to sacrifice anything so mom doesn't have to deal with that.
That's fantastic. So what do you basically eat now in a week?
I eat a lot of meats, veggies. I bake a lot now, like cook from scratch, like fathead pizzas, or I might make some fathead bagels sometimes, but lots of meat and veggies usually.
Fantastic. And is that the same with your kids, or are they a little bit more laxed?
They'll eat fathead pizza. That's if we have pizza, that's what they have.
Oh.
They don't really like the bagels so much. But if we do, like, if I make a treat or whatever, Carolyn Ketchum is my favorite. They'll eat that. They will. They like it.
It's fantastic. So let's try to compare and contrast. You said before you went low carb, and that was for about 10 years before you were low carb? About 10 years?
Mm-hmm.
You said you were low energy, had lots of lows. Did you have any other issues aside from that?
Just those are my major ones.
Okay.
Those two. Well, also I would say like my mood, of course. Like I could be angry so quickly because my blood sugars were up and down, up and down. Like it affected my mood a lot, I think. And now I feel more like stable, I would say, my mood.
So you feel a lot more stable. That's fantastic. As far as the energy and the lows, how's that improved since you went low carb?
A lot, a whole lot. Like I feel like I can take care of myself now, where before I was more dependent on my husband in the middle of the night, especially. And that was not, I hated putting that weight on him. Of course, there's still from time to time lows, but they're not nearly what they were.
So you feel like you're less of a burden on him now that you've gotten under control?
Yes, exactly.
That's great to hear. And speaking of control, as far as your blood sugars go, how's that going now compared to then?
It's much, much better. I mean, my A1C the last one was 5.5, but okay. I mean, there's always room for improvement, but I think I'm doing a lot better than I was.
That's fantastic. And how would you say, people always complain, and you already answered this already, but I wanted to put emphasis on it. A lot of dietitians will say, oh, you can't go low carb because you'll end up with all these lows all the time because you got your blood sugar too low. Yes. How many lows do you have now compared to back then?
Well, I have a Dexcom now, which I really, really love, and it catches things way sooner than before. I hardly ever, like, maybe once or twice a week now, compared to like almost like every day, multiple times.
Great, that's fantastic. And any other benefits?
Mm, I did lose about 15 pounds when I
Oh,
started.
that's nice. No, every little bit counts, right?
Yeah, it
And
does.
that's fantastic. Is your husband doing low carb too?
He does. He's not as dedicated as I am. But I mean, he does. Like, he's very supportive.
Did you have to push him into it at all?
Um, kind of, because we actually started this for him. So I was like, you need to do this. We need to do this together. So yeah, a little bit, but he's doing pretty good.
Is he doing better now?
He is. He's lost some weight, and his all of his markers are better for his heart disease, or for his family heart disease, I guess you would say.
So, from what I've been hearing, I'd say you're following more of a ketogenic approach rather than a super duper strict Bernstein approach. Would that be right?
Well, I don't like limit my protein as much, I would say,
Mm.
as the ketogenic, I guess. Like, I don't like, I'm not trying to not do enough protein because they do more of a moderate protein, and I'm not too concerned with, I guess, the protein.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem with a lot of the ketoers out there is that they limit protein. That's the one thing you don't want to limit, in my opinion, because
Yeah.
it's super duper important. And
Yeah.
anytime you see someone try to find a study this in low carb, it's usually in seizure patients where they're not getting enough protein, so they end up with growth issues and all that.
Hmm.
So yeah, protein's important, guys. Keto or not, get that. As far as your general well-being goes, how are you feeling now?
I feel much better. I have energy to play with my kids. I have energy to do my job. I'm a nurse, so I feel much, much better.
As a nurse, do you ever use the opportunity to try to recommend low carb to people?
To my coworkers, yes, I do all the time. And yes, if I have patients, I try to emphasize that you should limit the amount of carbs you're consuming. Um, it's hard as a nurse because you're kind of like, because the hospitals still are stuck in this low fat, whole grains kind of thing. And I have to kind of play that safely. Not, I don't want to lose my job
Mm-hmm.
because of it, but I do tell patients that, get rid of the high carb processed foods that you're eating for sure.
So you just drop little tidbits here and there to try to
Yeah.
help them
Yeah.
out. That's good. You have to be
Hmm.
careful in that kind of field. There's people that
Hmm.
have actually lost their license over that kind of thing, unfortunately.
Yes.
So, as someone in the medical field, you might have a little bit of knowledge on this. Where do you think the future's heading as far as um, more establishment areas like hospitals and places where you work recommending low carb to people?
I think it's definitely in the forefront now compared to what it was even 2 years ago. More people know about low carb and that it's actually healthy for you. And really, people are eating meat and vegetables. So, what's not healthy about that? So, I think it's headed that way. It's going to take a long time, I'm afraid, though.
Yeah, that's what I believe too. I think we're riding a pretty big wave here as far as the popularity goes, but there's a lot of inertia for us to push through.
Yeah. The food guidelines are going to have to definitely change in order for hospitals to get on board, I would imagine.
I hear hospitals, I'm not sure if it's the case for all hospitals, but I hear at some, they actually have a different menu for diabetics that's actually higher in carbs than the normal menu. Is that true?
I would say that even me, when I was in the hospital, when I had children, just seeing what's on your tray, they give you low fat, like your dressing is low fat. And of course, when you take out the fat, what are you going to add? You're going to add sugar. So yeah, they're usually higher carb.
Hmm. Yeah, I figured. I mean, it's so interesting to me that they do that kind of thing for diabetics. Hopefully, as time goes on, that changes. The proof for saturated fat not causing heart disease has been out there for decades now. It's only a matter of
Mm-hmm.
time. Uh, what else? Do you know a lot of do you know a lot of patients in your practice that have been trying low carb?
I don't.
Okay,
No,
well, you might not know because they might just not talk about it too.
that's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah. All right. Do you have any thoughts for any diabetics might be watching this right now?
Um, definitely change what you're doing because it just does nothing but improves your outcome and how you feel. And hopefully it's going to help me live a longer life to be near my kids for longer.
Yes, that's always a very good reason. Longevity, people always there's this sort of thing. It's like, well, I want to be an old person. I want to eat my bread and cupcakes, and it's like, yeah, you do, but isn't living a long life, healthy, with your legs and eyes pretty good too?
Yes.
Priorities.
Yes.
Great. And how old are your kids now, if you don't mind me asking? Oh, 7 and
My
11,
old,
right?
yes, my oldest is 11 and my youngest is 7.
Great. Well, following this approach, I think you'll be able to have a long, healthy life and see them grow up big and strong. Um, I guess that'll end it for now. This is going to be a short one, but sometimes it's good to have a short and sweet interview. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
I don't think so. But thank you so much for talking to me and giving me this opportunity to tell my story.
All right. Well, Lisa, it was great having you on. This is how Lisa tames her type 1. The great low carb approach, helping her kids, getting everyone involved. It's fantastic. You have a wonderful day, Lisa, and we'll see you next time.